Hi, I'm Mike Thompson. It's definitely cold outside now, but it's time to buy some gifts because after all, it is the most wonderful time of the year. In case you're looking for any last-minute gift ideas, might I suggest something from Harbor Freight? No, they're not paying me to say this. It's just that I love Harbor Freight stuff so much, I thought I'd give you guys my 2 cents, or maybe it's worth 5 cents on some of this stuff. But you can see here on my workbench, I've got all sorts of Harbor Freight stuff. In fact, I once outfitted a fabrication lab pretty much exclusively with tools from Harbor Freight because they're good quality tools at ridiculously low prices, and if they happen to walk off, it's no big deal. But they always get the job done as long as you don't use a wrench as a hammer. Not that I've ever done that. I have done that, but I didn't break the wrench, so use the tools properly and they're going to last. So I've got a couple of things that I absolutely love, and I want to show these to you guys in case you're looking for a few low-dollar items or maybe some high-dollar items. First one, well, this magnetic bar, these magnetic tool racks that they sell, amazing. And if you can find them on a discount, like a Inside Track or something like that, I got these for $2. I would definitely pay the $5 that they normally sell for. I love the magnetic tool racks. I have 7 of them. But these Pittsburgh Pro crescent wrenches, absolutely love them. They adjust easily, the jaws are nice and sturdy. They even have little metric and standard scales on each side, and they're pretty accurate, so you can set this thing and then actually fit the bolt or nut that you actually want to tighten. I love these. These are my pretty much go-to wrenches for any job. This guy here too is good, another crescent wrench. He's got serrated teeth here on the back side. He can be reversed, I guess. I've never done that. But he's also got graduated scales on both sides. Very, very easy to adjust. But you can flip this around like so, and now you've got a serrated jaw for clamping onto a pipe fitting on this side. So, first time I've actually ever flipped this thing around. But I also love this wrench. Put that back on the magnetic tool chest. Now, there's a few things that I don't love so much, but we'll get into those here in just a second. If you're looking for a mid-range, these things are, just in the couple buck range, like sort of these ball end Allen wrenches. Love these things. These are really, really nice. I've got 3 or 4 sets of those in various places. One thing that I didn't like a whole lot was their large torch here. Because the way it ignites, it's a push-button igniter, but it had this, being the key word, this little sparker that came up here, but it's very, very brittle metal. And so this thing doesn't auto-light anymore because this thing broke off because, me or Alex bumped it against a few things and it broke off. So now what I have to do sometimes is use my Burns-O-Matic click torch to light this torch. Or sometimes what I'll do is use their micro torch. This is the new version of the Harbor Freight micro torch to light this torch when I need additional heat. I haven't thrown this thing away yet. I still use it, but this is a very flimsy design up front where the sparker is, and I don't necessarily recommend buying this torch, even though it was like $20 or so. It lasted me a while, but I have come to expect more from Harbor Freight since then. Because like I said, I don't have problems with pretty much any of their tools. This little new micro torch that they've got is pretty good. It's got this little safety switch here on the back, which I find a little bit cumbersome. It's kind of hard to click that down every single time. Their older version used to just have an orange push button, but that thing finally gave out after several years. But this thing, if you misfire it, you got to re-click this little safety at the back here, and then you got to use another hand to get onto this lock feature so that it stays on. That's kind of cumbersome, but it's got a nice feeling grip, and this thing's cheap too. Another thing that's kind of a mixed review is this go-through socket set. I've got 2 of these, but the problem with this socket set is that, well, let me show you here. So this is really cool though, because you can torque a nut down on a bolt of any length because these have holes in them, and so it just goes right through. Whereas, there's not a deep socket in the world that's going to get more than a couple inches. Their color-coded deep socket sets are really great. I've got all of those. But this go-through socket set, like I said, is really good, but it does have one fatal flaw. The case absolutely sucks. So, I remedied that with my second set, and laser cut me a case that absolutely holds tight. So, these are great sockets, but the case is terrible. And that's sometimes at least 30% of the value of the thing, is making sure that your stuff stays where it's supposed to. Like I said, I remedied it with my own laser cut version, but they don't sell these in stores. So I love the socket set, but you're going to have to be aware of the fact that your sockets are going to fall out anytime you open that case. Now, as far as mid-range price things go at Harbor Freight, I've got, what do I have that I could show you that's in the mid-range? Ooh, this saw back here. I've had this saw for probably 20 years now. Now, their new one is red, but it's the exact same thing, pretty much. I've got their Bauer sheet metal nibblers. I found that anything that's Bauer brand is actually quite nice. This is their mid-range between the Pittsburgh line and the Hercules line at the top. And now they've got even more, like Icon hand tools and things like that. They're really starting to get pretty darn good and stuff. But like I said, with the basic Pittsburgh brand or Chicago Electric, I've never really had, much of an issue for the kind of things that I do. Now, if you want to get into high-end stuff, because they've got some high-end stuff, well, I'll have to do separate reviews of these, but their Predator series generator, I've got the 5500 watt one. I love it. It sat dormant for the longest of time because we didn't have any power issues. Well, lately, we've been having some power issues. We've used this generator more in the last year than we've used it in the prior 8 years that I've owned it. It starts easily every single time, and it's super duper quiet. Alex can even start it. He likes to run our monthly tests now. But let me show you here the generator. We'll go ahead and start it up so you can see it run. This thing, I think we paid $460 after a discount came out for it. I think now they're charging around $5 something, a little bit more. It's totally worth it. Although I do wish I bought the 8,000 watt generator because you always want more power. And but it runs everything we need it to run if the power does go out. My most recent, I would say, high-end purchase from Harbor Freight is the Titanium 45 plasma cutter. This thing is a beast. I'm going to do a video about this thing here by itself soon, but you can see even Alex absolutely loves this thing. And it cuts metal like any sort of cliche you could think of. Well, that's some of the Harbor Freight stuff I love. I've got a lot more stuff, but depending on the traction this video gets, we'll see if I do any more of these. Maybe this will become a regular series. I don't know. My channel is still all over the place and probably always will be. And the fact that I lack focus probably hurts me a little bit. Actually, I'm almost sure it does. I don't have a niche of any kind. It's just all over the place. that is my thing. But anyway, that's some Harbor Freight stuff I love. I've got a lot more stuff that I love, but I don't want to waste you guys' time anymore. I'll leave a list. Here's a list of the stuff, in case you were wondering, and approximate prices as of today. Well, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Mike Thompson, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And Merry Christmas.